haven't been able to make it. Yeah, so great to have you along. Robert, thanks a lot for agreeing to lead this session. And you get to see a lot of pretty ugly stuff as people try and work through their MVP process. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself shortly, but it's only fair that other people do it first. So folks, either through the chat or by flipping your camera on and mic, be great to get an introduction from you, who you are, where you're from, and what you're building. So yeah, I might just run through a roll call. Becky, thanks a lot.
Yes, hello Nick, hello Robert, hello everyone. My name is Becky, I'm from Adelaide, and I've been enjoying the sessions in the EntrepreneurFEST. Thank you very much. I help businesses with grants applications and business plans.
Fantastic, great skill set. And Becky, are you busy?
I'm starting to get busy. I'm doing quotes. I'm always like researching which ones are the new grants available. It's a big system, a lot of like departments, but I love researching, so I enjoy it.
You. We need that skill set. Thanks a lot. Julie B, hello. Tell us a bit about you and where you're from.
Hi, sorry, just getting myself set up.
Yeah.
So I'm in Brisbane and I'm a training consultant.
Fantastic. Very early stage?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hassan.
Hello, everyone. Well, I am working with Honeywell right now, but I do have some experience in the startup healthcare beforehand, and I'm a friend of Robert's. So I wanted to see what he's going to be talking about today.
Oh, excellent. And mate, put in some really tough questions, would you?
I will.
Thank you. Welcome, Hassan. John R.
Yeah, hi.
Hey. John, where are you from, and what's what you're working on? What's your business?
Oh, I'm here in Cairns. Just early stages of developing and commercializing an idea. So just getting a feel for the area.
Oh, well done. All right, we look forward to your comments and thoughts. Poe, if you can say hi, that'd be great.
Hello everyone.
Hey Poe, where are you from and what's your idea?
Oh, I'm from Perth. I retired from full-time work 3 years ago, and I've started a blogging website, and it's called mylivingmylife.com.
Hey, quick, let's get on it. Poe, thanks for joining in. Catherine Bramwell, it's a familiar name.
Hi, Nick, Catherine here, yeah. So I'm Catherine, I'm from Melbourne. I've met Nick in the seniorpreneurs environment and war on wasted talent environment. And we will be making an appointment to sit down with Nick in a very short period of time. I'm working with another person looking to bring the voice of young seniors to the table. So we've got a working name of Young Seniors & Co.
Brilliant. Thank you. And look, we might just sample one other attendee and then we'll switch to chat. What up? Who was that? Go ahead, whoever you were. No, Christine Godfrey, be great to hear again. Yeah, where you're from and what you're working on.
Hi, I'm from Portland, Victoria, and my sister and I are just about to start our MVP with a business in Melbourne that does web developing for a product for carers on the NDIS.
Well done. That will be something in high demand. Thanks again, you guys, for joining in. Robert, over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you can, and your background.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for inviting me today. Well, I've been developing products since '93. I started as a software engineer and moved on virtually touching every possible role throughout the life cycle of a product, from research, development, manufacturing, marketing, launching products, killing products out of the market, working with everyone involved. And that kind of gave me unique perspective throughout the years. Counted over 30 products out there and dozens of projects, working with really various people from sales, marketing, business, CEOs, developers, technicians, you name it. So I'm kind of built that unique perspective about what makes products successful.
Yes.
I hear a lot of people learning from failure, and that's fair. But it's also good to learn from success, I guess. And I've been lucky to experience it over and over. And I've seen it when you do the right things, time after time, how product that was developed right.
Yeah.
It brought value to the market. The market loved it. The teams involved were proud and engaged. Finishing on time, on budget, or maybe even exceeding expectations, and eventually bringing value to the business, making it a successful business. So that's kind of in a nutshell where I come from.
Fantastic. And if only they all went like that. You painted such a rosy picture. Robert, so many people get their MVP wrong. So we're obviously going to hear a bunch of things from you, but can you give us a thumbnail? Just what are 2 or 3 key insights that you've learned over the years?
Sure, and this is going to be also the focus of today's discussion as far as I'm concerned. First, I'd like to talk about how important it is to understand the problem-solution space. And when I say that, I'll also touch on how a product is not a solution, or it's not the solution. It may be a manifestation of a solution. So there's a clear distinction between what is the product and what is the solution to the problem. And I'll touch on that as well. And maybe the bottom line, MVPs should earn money, and people shouldn't shy or be afraid or hesitate. On the contrary, think about how the MVP will make money to validate the business, not just the market and not just the product.
And Robert, I've seen you in action, and your cut-through insight and your experience. It's a great challenge to founders because so often we do go straight to solution. So we're really looking forward to the insights that you're going to share. And go ahead, take us on a bit of a journey about nailing an MVP.
Sure. I'll share a slide or two in a minute, but there was this mantra in the 90s when I started as an engineer. Everyone was saying that an okay product with a great marketing will beat a great product with okay marketing. I don't know if you remember that. And what I saw in my experience is both could succeed or fail. It's not the product or the marketing gig. It's the crucial factor. Is it really, are you solving a problem? Is it the right problem to solve? And do you have the right solution to that problem? So let me share, I'll share four slides, try to make a point and then open it for questions. Let me just find it, sorry. Yep. Okay.
Robert, every now and again, I'll just chip in with some questions or issues from chat box. You're going to take us through, just what an MVP means and what it looks like.
I appreciate that. And a disclaimer, I hate lecturing, so any question as I go is welcome. So, as I said, this is the focus, the importance of the problem solution space. The product is not the solution, and an MVP should earn money. And I'll try to make a point. So when I look at startups and businesses in general, I like to look at the space of how clear is the problem and how mature is the solution. So, and I see teams that don't understand really the problem and don't understand really the solution. They have an idea, but not beyond that. I call them the bad luck teams, simply because this is their words. They keep missing opportunities and they keep saying it's bad luck time after time. Or if they succeed, they say they were lucky and it was good luck. It's kind of this karma thing that helps them, not anything else. And to me, it just shows that they weren't really into the right problem and right solution. And maybe a quick example here, I worked with a brilliant guy. I tried to work with him. He was just, and these are the guys you don't hear about, right? They just fail, unfortunately. He was working 3 years in his basement without job. He had enough money to just go and develop a brilliant education platform. A demo that he gave me, it was seamless, so easy to use, brilliant features, beautiful designs. He looked in, like just raising a demo, he could in 1 minute create a user for me and everything. Long story short, throughout those 3 years and to date, he couldn't even engage one institute, one teacher, one anything to even try it for free. And it was apparent he didn't understand his competition, didn't understand what his features are giving. And therefore, no one was interested, as simple as that. So then you go to the people who understand the problem. They have a good grip on what they want to solve, but not really into a good solution. And obviously, they miss the solution or the market or whatever. And then you see that there's no interest, the market is not interested, or it's difficult to use, stuff like that. And maybe one notable classic example is Apple in its early days. Everyone knows Apple with the iPhone, huge success, but for years and years, they were tailoring behind the big tech companies. And one of their failures was the Lisa PC in 1980s. Early 80s. The Lisa was revolutionary at the time, using graphic user interface when everyone was using DOS before Windows even. They nailed the problem that people should use computers with intuitive approach, not cumbersome engineers. But their solution was so expensive. It was $10,000 US at the time, almost $50,000 today, probably, maybe even more. It lacked any support of libraries or apps in today's terms, and simply failed, as simple as that. So Apple always understood the problems. It took them a while to understand the solutions as well. And maybe I'll give another example about Apple's success later. And then you have the guys that have a brilliant solution, but not necessarily engaged with a fundamental problem. So they end up with kind of expensive products or out of cash very soon, missing timelines, not necessarily understanding the challenges because they're not rooted in the problem, usually overpriced and eventually outcompeted. I think one classic example here is Google with some of their products like Google Plus. If you remember, it just died 2 years ago. They just wanted to compete with Facebook and not leave them in the space. So they created Google Plus. Without any unique solution, their finest engineers created something and it died as simple as that after a while. And interestingly, another example from Google was the Google Glasses. And it died before it even launched with the media hysteria over the privacy aspects of it. So again, they kind of had an idea for a solution, not really solving a real problem, and those options just died. And then you have the guys who know their problem, they know their solution. They are mature enough to go from the problem to the right strategy and the right plans. And I consider this is the setup of unicorns, if you could put it this way. And fit here is the key word. You hear about problem solution fit and product market fit, but this kind of fitting, it's not singular. It's not it's really complex. It involves lots of things. So it's about nailing the product. Yes. It's about nailing the market. Yes. It's about nailing the business. Yes. All of that and more. So it's like cogs in the clock. When they fit together, they give you this awesome machine at the end. It's not about one specific cog that's gone right, so to speak. And I think one of the pioneers in fitting things was really Zappos. They probably caused the invention of the idea of proper MVP, so to speak. The guy who invented Zappos wanted to check that you could sell shoes online back in the 90s. Before anyone could use the internet properly at the time. So he didn't go and think about logistics and stores and warehouses and shoe brands and all that. He just wanted to check if you and me will buy shoes online and not go to the store and have that one-on-one experience face-to-face. So he put a modest website. When you order, he went to stores, take photos of shoes, put them on his website. If you like the shoe, he'll go to the store again, buy the shoe and ship it to you. As simple as that. Like teaching a toddler how to eat. Take the food with your hand, put it on a fork, put the fork in your mouth and do again, rather than know how to be advanced cutlery user. And from there, he took it. And on their website, on Zappos website, there's a fascinating blog on their, what they call 20 plus MVPs, showing how they expanded from year to year, from one MVP to another. And I think the key factor, maybe they don't highlight it there, is how each MVP, even the first one, generated revenue. It wasn't just about checking the market. It was about checking the whole thing. By attracting the market, they attracted revenue. They proved their business will work, not just that the market will like it, and then develop the whole thing. And maybe one recent star in the news is Afterpay. Afterpay, I read a little bit about them, how they started. Two guys know a little bit about business. They wanted people to pay in 4 installments what they buy in a store, rather than have a credit or pay later or make a saving program or whatever it is. Interestingly enough, their first years, they didn't have anyone technical on board. That wasn't their problem solution space. Their strategy was about the business side of things. They engaged with, I forgot their name, but it was an already established payments management company. And they did the infrastructure for them. And when that infrastructure wasn't enough, they went and engaged with another company that built the whole thing from scratch for them. And basically, technology was not part of their solution, so they felt comfortable giving it to a vendor and focus on the real problem solution space and succeed. Okay, before I move to the next slide, if there is any question. So here's a quick poll, and you can put, I won't complicate it, just put your thoughts in the chat. And I base this on one very specific poll by CB Insights, but I've been checking these statistics for years and decades, honestly, and they are persistent, unfortunately. So the question is, what do you think was the major cause for startup failures in the last years? And this is based on over 600 or 100, interviews, deep interviews with founders, learning from the hindsight.
Guys, the poll function's not on, so go ahead and hit up the chat box with your best guess.
Like competition, market, budget, legal, pivot. You can just put one word. And while people are answering, I'll just say that consistently the statistics are gloomy. 90% of startups fail in the first 2 years. But I also like to remind everyone, this is not a startup problem. Decades now, project management institutes, Harvard Business Review, everyone is saying that the innovation is complex and innovation costs a lot of money and has a lot of waste. I think PMI, the Project Management Pulse report from 2 years ago, mentioned that $2 trillion go down the drain every year, 2 trillion on innovation, and not in startups, in established companies. Basically, more than 70% of established companies either kill projects or finish way beyond budget and time, 70%. So this is not just a startup problem, it's more aquatic for a startup. If IBM loses a project, then the revenue will cover it. But if a startup loses a project, that's it. It's the end of the line, unfortunately. So that's why it's more buzzing, so to speak.
Robert, we heard from the futurist on Monday that SMEs and particularly startups can be really slow to move with innovation, or as he put it, timing the wave and getting in position for the wave. But yes. I think you've nailed it. We're kind of put all on black, don't we? Because often capital's an issue, or the depth of our networks are an issue to do what Google did and just throw resource at something just in case. Yes, when you can afford it. That's right. But also, again, doing the right thing takes experience. I mean, I'm in the medtech space, and I keep telling everyone, think about ex-Cochlear engineers or managers pivoting from Cochlear and establishing their startup. How do you think they'll do compared to a couple of uni students that just finished university and have an idea? Who do you think have better chances of success? And just experiencing that success, being in a company that succeeded before, that could give you a great push of where to look, how to look, what to look for. So I looked quickly at the chat and I saw pivot and market, and here are the actual answers. Market indeed is a 1, and the second is missing on time and money. My personal perspective is these are the symptoms, not necessarily the root causes, if you want. I mean, what causes us to miss market needs and what causes us to miss on time and money? One interesting thing, I've been running this poll for almost 2 years now, and I keep consistently at least half of the audience saying market need. So it's kind of like a no-brainer, right? Still, it's about 50% where startups fail. So it's kind of a known secret, but still we keep missing on it. And sometimes it's because it's not just about knowing something, but about knowing how to do it, how to maneuver it, how to go around it. So just knowing that something is wrong doesn't mean we'll avoid it if we don't have the right advice how to do that. Okay. So I promised I'll talk a bit about the problem solution. And this is kind of, I call it the solution iceberg. Not the tip of the iceberg, the full iceberg. So usually when I talk to people about their ideas, they start talking to me about specs or features. And that's kind of the technical solution or the product, if you want. And it really depends where the founders come from. If the founders have technical background, they'll focus on specs features. If the founders have more marketing sales experience, they'll be focused about user stories and the market. Rarely I hear about the actual solution and the real problem. And I like a quote from Ash Moria, who runs lots of startup boot camps. And he has a quote, 90% of startups I meet, their competition is Excel and email. And because they're not really solving a real problem, meaning that people can get away without the new solution by just keep using Excel or email, so to speak. So usually I ask really, what's the real problem you're solving? What is your tangible solution to it before talking about the product? And if there's no question here, maybe I'll just give an example. I was in a hackathon a couple of weeks ago. It was a medtech hackathon. So I engaged for 5 minutes with the team, and they were trying to help patients who go through chemotherapy, because chemotherapy affects the limbs, among other things.
but this is kind of an acute thing that people don't feel their fingers or feel pain in their fingers or toes after chemotherapy, apart from the hair loss and all that. So it's kind of annoying. You can't walk properly or just use your motoric skills properly. And usually when people go through the procedure of almost an hour of chemotherapy, one of the solutions is to use ice. So then when the limbs are cold, less blood flows. And those guys came with a brilliant idea. Let's use pressure. We put pressure on the arm, then the blood flow reduces, and that could solve the problem as well. So when I engaged with them, obviously they were students in engineering. They were talking to me about specs, and we'll build this pressure device and this nice screen to show graphs and statistics and all that. And then I asked them, look, I'm a technician in the theater. I'm applying chemotherapy. This is my concern. Why should I look at another device and another screen? Do you think I have the time for this? Or even if I don't have the time, that means the hospital should bring another technician, and then I'm creating another problem because the hospital now needs more personnel just to run this thing. So what's really here the solution? You nailed the problem. How many times you think me as a technician doing the chemotherapy should engage with your product? They thought about it for a few seconds and said, well, basically only if the pressure is too high, then we need to reduce it. Okay, there you go. So during the procedure, maybe once I should alarm the technician to reduce the pressure. That could be even a beep from something. So basically understanding that kind of, okay, this is a problem, the limbs and the chemotherapy. The solution is let's apply pressure without interfering with the technician's work. That's the solution. And then thinking from that on a product, we ended up basically, you could buy off the shelf any pressure measuring device, hook $5 beacon, really, Bluetooth beacon that measures pressure and temperature. That could just go beep, beep if something goes wrong, so someone would go and reduce the pressure, and that's your product. So they went quickly in 5 minutes from all these ideas, don't know how to focus, to this is the problem, this is the solution, and that's the product. As simple as that. Okay. So really, I'm going towards the end of it. I want to give like a showcase more elaborate on this, but if someone has a question, I'd love to hear. Okay. So yeah, sorry, I didn't copy the triangle, but I'm just gonna show the 6 steps from the triangle or their impact. So I engaged with those guys a few months back, brilliant ladies that were from the film production background, from all things. They had an idea of let's create a VR video on dinosaurs. Basically, you put the goggles and you are inside Jurassic Park rather than watch a video or just 3D. So when I talked to them, I asked them, who's your competition? And they said, oh, the likes of Sony VR and all the VR creators. And they were trying to engage with zoos, a museum, to interest them in creating a booth in the museum or the zoo. So families would go put the goggles and visit the Jurassic Park, basically. Unfortunately, they had no interest. One zoo told them, maybe if you created a video on the white rhino, it's quite hot today. Dinosaurs are kind of passé for them. They weren't interested. Museums weren't interested at all. And then we started talking about what problem and solution they're trying to bring to the table. So in their words, the problem they were solving was create an immersive experience to visit extinct animals. And their solution was create the dinosaur VR experience, which is a first of a kind. And they based it on working with scientists. So at that point, they spent all their money on engaging with scientists and the VR provider, created the VR on the dinosaur, and then got stuck with it.
And Robert,
yes,
you will have seen this again and again and again. We follow our intuition. we follow our gut and we spend money and then we're beached.
Yes. I'll tell you more than that. I can understand this. This is kind of a tricky problem, and I'll show in a minute why. I engage a lot with medical device startups, and medtech is heavily regulated, like I think everyone knows that. And I'm just amazed about how many startups get to the level of prototype. Some of them even go to animal trials with their product, and they didn't even think about the regulation aspect. And if you don't know that you're missing, the regulation requires showing a rigorous process of development. So the fact that they didn't even know what the regulatory strategy gonna be at the beginning, before they started the development, means they have to go back to square one, develop it from the start to the standards.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of inexcusable if you want, because you cannot sell a medical device if you don't follow the standards, and the standards say, show me a proper process of development, and they just ignore it.
Ouch.
Yes, very painful. It is an ouch. Yeah, but it is unfortunately a recurring thing.
Yeah. And this is where, you know, your advice and your wisdom is crucial, because it's a bit like saving a life, isn't it? How many more founders do we want to jump into this top of funnel when so often it's just nah?
Yes, that's right. So basically, just to make a point, I just kind of put where those guys were before I talked to them, and after I talked to them. And talk to them doesn't mean here months of work. I really engaged with them for 1.5 hour consultation, and that's it. And then left them to their own devices. So we rephrased the problem and the solution, because I asked them really, are you trying to improve the revenue, the bottom line for a museum or zoo? Because this is what this is how you talk. And they said, oh no, basically we're trying to we're trying to help endangered species. We want to save the planet, basically. That's our aim. And the solution they were thinking is that part of the money that goes into watching those VRs would become donations to organizations that help wildlife or endangered species or the sort. So we rephrase the problem and the solution in these kind of bombastic words, if you want. The problem is empowering preservation champions, because we'll help them with money eventually. And the solution is create an engaging educational experience for fundraising, which is kind of first of a kind. But it also said that this is their competition, not VR, not Sony, not museums as audience, not zoos. The donation can. I go with my kids to a museum. There's a donation can on the counter. I buy my ticket. I could put $1 in the donation can, and that $1 goes to those organizations. Now those guys are trying to bring an elaborate, sophisticated, engaging educational experience, but just does the same. This is their competition. And that was the aha moment in the discussion. Okay, let's move from there. So that then helped them again look at their immediate audience, which is those organizations, and then they after that they stopped talking to museums and zoos. They went after such organizations, and 2 of them were so excited about the idea they gave them money and helped them engage further. So then the first product after they got money from the NGOs was to create some kind of a kiosk experience, booths, if you want, with the VR, attract crowds to basically put money towards the videos, and thus creating sort of a crowdfunding, or crowd advocacy, if you want. So basically, by creating the kiosk, they are attracting the market, they are getting money back to impress their investors even more, and they are engaged with the right investors now. So then the interest after they hit 100,000 views or visitors to the booth, going with an NGO now to a museum to say, we're going to replace the can with this kiosk. What do you think as a museum or a zoo? That's going to be a different discussion than we have this VR Google with this awesome video. What do you think? And no, not interested.
Nicely reframed.
Yeah, so basically they didn't even, so when people say this, they think it was a pivot. And I say a pivot is when you take your product and try to change it to attract the market, or maybe go to a different market. Those guys went beyond changing the product, beyond changing the market. They went to changing even the problem they're solving and go back from square one all the way above again. So it's kind of elaborate pivot if you want. Okay, I'll stop sharing here.
Thanks, Robert. What would you like to do from here? Take some questions, or?
I'd love to. I can talk about these things for hours. I can give more and more examples, but I think when people show their pains.
Yeah. What if we jump in with one more? And you guys, if you want to drop into the chat box a very, very short summary question, or test Robert now, go ahead and put a little vignette, a little summary of what you're doing, and let's see what Robert thinks about it. I've engaged Robert twice now for clients of mine who weren't at a sticking point, but certainly appeared to be moving really quickly down the wrong road. Robert, let's just talk about the unnamed client who's doing work in COVID and temperature controls.
Yes.
So these guys were desperate to get their product into market. They wanted 80,000 to seed equipment and 3D printers. And you just brought awareness to them around the opportunity they had right in front of them. Do you want to talk about that a little more confidentially?
Yes, I'll try. But basically, it's as you said yourself as well, it's kind of a recurring theme. They had a prototype on the table. It's not fantastic. It's not beautiful. It's not well designed. But they had, like, I think, a couple of hundred of those prototypes, or easily could create a couple of hundreds of those. And they want to jump the gun from the prototype to an elaborate, more sophisticated product that requires investment, time, money, risks as well. In that case, to make it from wire to wireless, if you want, as simple as that. And my question was to them, just getting the funding and then going through a proper design cycle and then go to production. That's if you're lucky and the heavens are the word lucky again, right? We're talking at least about a year. And then trying to convince the market. Who knows if COVID will, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe things will shift. Things in COVID keep changing all the time. Maybe then you'll need a different product and then another year of investment for something to create another solution. Whereas you can go now with a modest something, but it's something that will create interest. You go to the market with it, give it some kind of support, because maybe it's not the most elaborate and bombastic thing, but you engage with the market and then you promise them that you're working on the next big thing. They're hooked already. Then it's an easy access. Even if you go to investors now, you say, yeah, we have 100 clients working with us. Not if we do this, maybe we'll get that. So it's kind of, the whole thing changes when you think how to make money, really.
Well, and you said it, it's about, ultimately it's about making money, isn't it? And it's hard for us as founders. We're so close. We're so close to that insight and that transformation we want to bring to the market, and we miss so much. So the other insight you brought to that founder was, all right, you're looking to sell this thing that you haven't built and will take you time to raise capital for and then produce for less than the monthly subscription for the prototypes that are sitting on the floor. And the prototypes will bring you that instant revenue as the market then uses the prototype channel to tell you what to build, not what you may want to build, but what the market's actually asking for.
Exactly, and that brings us again to missing market needs. and then missing on time and money, because in both scenarios, you're actually moving away from just asking the market what do they need and giving it to them as soon as possible.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, question from Teresa. So
I love it, actually. I love this question.
what if your product isn't physical, but it's a service? Can a person be the product?
So basically, I'm giving a service now, right? So I don't create products, I provide services. And still I have a problem, I solve a solution, I provide, and then products. Today here speaking is a product if you want. Engaging in a workshop is a product. It's not the problem solution space. So the product doesn't need to be physical. And many times, even before, maybe you'll end up with a product, but just providing the service. I was engaged with a guy a while back. He wanted to create an app for first home buyers. And he was talking about the features and the software and how much that's going to cost, what to include, what not to include. And I actually talked to him that if he just offered the service himself as a start, as an MVP, that could be awesome, because he knows what first home buyers should go through. If he engages with 10 couples and say, hey, I can guide you through this. I'll give you the service of buying your first home, avoiding 1, 2, 3, and gaining ABC. Then you give them the service, you earn money for it, and you gain insights if you want to build an app later, how to expand so that you can work with 100,000 and more people through an app. But at least you'll verify your service before you do the product if you want. So sometimes it's also kind of the mix between the two. I hope this answers, Teresa, or did you want a different angle for it?
And Teresa, feel free to flick on video, flick on mic, and let's have a couple of minutes conversation if it's helpful. Or later.
That's okay. And I want to give another example about services. Think about when you go and buy a phone from Telstra, Optus, or whoever. What are you buying and what are they selling? Maybe you're buying the phone. For them, they are selling the service of using their internet bandwidth, actually, if you think about it. And interestingly, that was the main reason that Steve Jobs didn't want to go into the iPhone experiment to begin with. For years in Apple, the word phones was equal to yuck. And his executives tried to push him for years to go into the phone market, and he refused. Simply because he understood that he cannot solve that problem, that the market is dominated by the carriers, the network providers, and those dictated to the companies that create the products, how to build them. So they told Samsung and Nokia and whoever, this is what we need, because you're building the phone to me, AT&T. I'm going to give it to my customers so they buy internet bandwidth from me. I don't care about your features. And nobody cares about your features. The game here is buying bandwidth. Just like you buy toner for a printer, the printer is not really the product here. The toner is the product. So Jobs was declining the offer, so to speak, until the opportunity came, and Cygnus, a carrier then that worked with Motorola, gave him the free hand. They basically signed a contract. Apple will develop any device they see fit, no constraints, in exchange for Cygnus having the exclusiveness to sell the iPhone 1 if you want. And that's how the iPhone story started. After that came all the buzz around the beautiful design, the ease of use, all the prophecy of Jobs, if you want. But all that was possible because he understood the problem. He got the solution from the carrier who was offering a service, really, to create a product that supports the service.
Gotcha. Yep. Hey, Julie has I think a fairly common one here. I feel like I'm convincing people that there's a problem and I have the solution. Is that a bad start? It sounds like a bit of a features benefits issue.
I would say if that sentence is correct, Julie, then you're doing the right thing. because if I have a problem, I want to solve it. And you know, there's a funny story that microwave started this way because the problem was people are busy, they want to cook things fast. And then some guy said, let's use microwave to make cooking fast. And that's how it was born. So it was about the problem and the solution, as simple as that. And then whatever product solve it, that's okay. The issue is usually that people confuse the word solution with a product. When they say solution, they say, this is how you're going to do it, and this is how you're going to use it, and these are the features. And no, the solution has to be distinctive, different from the product. So if you're doing that, you're doing an awesome job. Maybe you want to pitch it in 1 minute.
Right. Actually, I didn't really understand the solution has to be different from the product. If it's a service, how does that work?
And Julie,
do you want to give an example? What is the solution you have in mind?
And flip your camera on if you can. It just helps the conversation, Julie.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
So yeah, it's the problem would be that I feel like everybody's like pushing around information and making all these courses, and so we're just taking information from one place and putting it in another, when really we could be coming up with a lot of ideas ourselves. So this is not about webinars or anything, but it's lots of people are making new courses. And so people say, yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I'd like to do that, but maybe in a few years. or they'd say, yeah, that would be really interesting to do, but then they don't really want to do it now.
So what's the solution that you want to provide?
Yeah, the solution is so to bring in more interactivity and you know, different kinds of techniques into training, not only giving information, which we assume that adults.
Which is awesome. I would say to achieve what? What's going to be the outcome if I follow the recipe of different techniques and?
Oh, right. Yeah. It will be more effective learning, but then that's a solution for the learners, not for the person giving the course, right?
No, that's okay. Still, I'm with you. I'm just saying what's going to be the ultimate outcome?
Better courses. I don't know. Yeah, better references to the referrals.
Is it okay if I try to use my own words from what I understood what you were saying? I would say the problem is people are doing so many courses. They're becoming social events, really. And your solution is to have courses that people can take to their life and get value out of what they learn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Does that sound about right?
Good. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's so in this discussion, there's no product yet. There's no service yet. We're not saying how. It's just the why, right? Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's a problem. That's a solution. Now, what's going to be the product? And the product could be, again, a service, a physical thing, whatever it is, or the techniques you have. But that's the how.
I see.
Does that make sense?
That's very clear now. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I felt like, I don't know, I had to convince people that there was a problem, and they were convinced, but yeah, I felt like, well, if it's not coming from them, am I, you know, inventing something that's not really there yet?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Julie. Anyone else want to jump in? And
I just want to answer. I was skimming through the questions and I saw that Becky asked if I could apply the iceberg on myself. And I actually have an example. I forgot to mention it. Thank you for raising that. So the problem I think I'm solving is reducing waste in projects. And the solution the solution I'm trying to offer is get it right the first time. And that's reducing waste. So that's my solution. If you do it right the first time, you're good. And then the question is, okay, how do you do it right the first time? And that's where I have all kinds of products, blogs, and talking here, just trying to show people to learn from success, not just from failure. So a product could be today coming and speaking. This is a product. I have those 4 slides. This is a product. or a training course about something I call MVM, or minimal viable milestones, or any manifestation, as long as it shows people how to get it right the first time to reduce waste in their project. I hope this explains. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Robert. I had a question with the difference between features and specifications.
This is kind of the engineering language. So feature describes more the user space, if you want. Like iPhone has an alarm. That's a feature. A spec is the nitty-gritty technical details. A spec means there's a clock that's running on a battery. The battery will run for 10 hours. That's a spec.
Cool.
So that then when the designers work on the iPhone, they need to make the battery last for 10 hours as a spec.
Yeah, no, excellent. Thank you. I got it now.
Nice.
Thanks.
We've got another volunteer.
So there's Tasha asking, I am marketing my product to schools and parents. Is this a good idea, or does it just complicate? Would it be best to market them as different products? Tasha, you want to explain? Your microphone is not on.
And Tasha, go ahead. Be as detailed as you need to. I'm paying. This is free to you. Thank you on Robert's behalf.
Thank you. So I have designed and made construction kits for kids, life size. For schools, I'm promoting them as a guided structural thing. So it's aimed at STEM.
Yes.
And for parents, it's more of a, to get them off their devices and get out.
Now I understand.
So,
yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I've started to, I'm in the beginning. I'm actually doing a case study with a school after the holidays, and I've sold my first kit to parents. So I'm really chuffed, but I've got to get it on a website so it's a proper business. But I'm wondering whether to do it as one website for parents and for schools, or whether I should do them separate.
This is an awesome question. I must admit, there's so much you can talk from high level, and these kind of questions bring it to down to earth, so to speak. And yeah, I don't know if you noticed in the iceberg, I was talking about persona and user stories, and that's exactly where this question comes in. Also, if you notice, this is similar to the VR ladies example I gave, because they had the museums, they had the zoos, they had the NGOs, the life-preserving animals, they had the parents who would pay for watching the video, they had the kids who love dinosaurs, they have all of these people in this bubble. And then how do you differentiate them one by one? Now, one rule I like to use is at least make a distinction between the consumer and the audience.
Yeah.
And not just say customer or user. So audience is anyone who might be using your product or service. And then you would think about them. How is it easy? How is it attractive for them to use it? Consumers, however, are the one paying for it. And they are not necessarily the same people, especially in your case, right? So just having that in mind, then you think about, okay, the kids are the ones who are going to benefit. The audience is the parents, because they are the one to be interested, but they are also the consumers that are the one paying for it.
Yeah.
The schools in this case could be either a channel to the parents or a customer themselves, because they will say, this is awesome. We're going to buy 100 kits and make it part of the curriculum, right? So I would say just start mapping them in different bubbles, give them names, schools, parents, kids, all of them, right? But then they could be audience, they could be partners as a channel towards the customers, or actual customers that pay. And then you will give them different attention depending of how are they going to be positioned. And then some of it is also your decision. Do you want to pursue the school as a consumer or as a channel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tasha, I think it's a very exciting proposition of, as Robert was saying, you'll build up a persona B2B, business to business, and there'll be messaging and there'll be a pitch that fits. And then your B2C strategy, business to consumer, whole different, look and feel and tactic approach.
Yes, and just keep again in mind, B2C or B2B, you still need to make the distinction who is using and who is paying.
Yeah.
And that's often the confusion about personas. You just say, okay, the parents, and hang on, the parents are just the paying guys. The kids should love it. Or maybe you don't care, you just want to sell it. Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I really want to do the best thing financially and rewarding as well, because I know that my kids love it, and it's so
well done. And
that's where market research, sorry Nick, that's where you need to research your audience, either through a professional or just see how the engagement is more interesting with the kids themselves, with the parents, or how do you call it? There's this magazine, I forgot the name, I can't believe it. My kid gets it every quarter with all the books, Scholastic, is it?
Oh, that's
yeah.
Right. So basically, their idea is go directly to the user, to the kids.
Yeah.
And then they will push the parents to pay for it, not send it to the parents and they use the school as a channel, right? So as they get a donation or part of a fee for helping them distribute those. But their model is sell to the kids, the parents will pay, and the school is the channel part.
Yeah. So maybe I could send out some merch with the kids through the school.
Yeah, sorry, I cannot just give you on the spot here what's the exact solution going to be.
I know.
I'm trying to give you the perspective how to look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Hey, well done. And Tasha, what I love about it, you've tapped into a fairly substantial societal issue. So the problem is real, and then the fun is going backwards to unpack it.
Yeah.
My daughter's school has just built an entire STEM wing for girls.
Oh, really?
And you can bet that they want to stick stuff in it. So I think you've got a lovely number of touch points and insertion points to consider.
Yeah.
Tasha, just one comment. I would say don't miss Christmas as well.
Nice. That's what I'm really trying to push it. Yeah, because I'm running out of time. But that's what I'm trying to focus on, is getting it out there for Santa to come.
Sure.
Cool.
Thank you
Robert,
so much.
Thanks, Tash.
That was awesome. Thank you.
And Robert, thank you. And the last point here in the chat is about how do you find a mentor that can assist with ensuring we stay on the right track. It's so hard getting the expertise. You guys, Robert, I call him a solution provider. And as I mentioned, I've bought time off him a couple of times now. And it's not, look, Robert, not to speak on your behalf, but you've got a preferred gig, but equally a quick in and out is in your portfolio. Often mentors won't give you that level of expert input. And you can find spending a little bit of money can save you a lot of pain and heartache.
Yes. If I may add, Nick, just ask them, or if you want to have a quick checklist to check, have they done this before? Have they actually gone from idea to market successfully before? If they can show you that they actually done it, then don't engage. As simple as that. You can get well-meaning advice or well-meaning ill advice sometimes, unfortunately. Be passionate, but think this is a business. You're creating a business. You should see the bottom line as soon as possible. If they cannot show it to you, how you go on the fast track, like a GPS, you're here, how you get there. No cutting corners, no fluff. Can you actually get me to earn revenue? How? And did you do it before? Simple as that. I'll leave you with that.
Well done. Thanks again, Robert. And thanks everyone for your input.
Thank you, everyone.
And your comments and your stories. Really great stuff. Have a great afternoon, you guys.
That was fabulous.
I can put my LinkedIn if anyone would like to connect, Nick.
Great, you do that, and then I'll do a follow-up too, Robert.
Ah, okay. Yeah, they can also ask always through you. That's okay. That was brilliant. I loved it. Thank you for the opportunity again, Nick.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks a lot. That was great, Robert.
Awesome.
Have a good afternoon.
You too, guys.
Catch you. Bye.
And good luck, everyone. Okay, Nick, I'm off to another couple of meetings, so I'll see you later.
Enjoy. Okay, mate. See you at the next gig.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
See the chat.